Welcome to the Health and Happiness Show. As many of you know, I, Janet Hawkins, will be your host this evening, and I'm an herbalist and iridologist. And what I do is I do consultations for people, and I put programs together for them. And what that entails is we have different options. You can just do a consultation where you do the iridology, or you can do the saliva and urine testing, where that goes in and tells us exactly what's going on with circulation, the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of your cell, and also it'll tell you how your hydration is, and if you know your blood type, it'll tell you what foods are beneficial for you as well. So what we do is we also provide a newsletter every month, and so this is written by Stephen Horn, who is a master herbalist out of Utah, and then I provide information inside as well. Like for one example, we have the benefits of drinking chlorophyll in your water. So we just try to keep you up on the news and different techniques. This one's going to let your blood flow, and it's preventing blood clots and things of that sort as well. Like butcher's broom is very beneficial to go in and help prevent blood clots. I believe it's over in France that they use butcher's broom for before surgery to help prevent any blood clots as well. So we always like to keep you up on what is new and what is going on in the holistic world today. So just remember, our mission is to communicate your respect for people by presenting a solid foundation of natural health and business principles to enhance your quality of life. And when we're talking about a better quality of life, I just returned from Las Vegas. I was at the conference for naturopaths and taking my exam as well. And I have not gotten my results back yet, which I have to wait 3 to 4 weeks, but I feel good that I've probably passed it, but I don't want to be overconfident. So I'll keep you posted on that next month as well. So just remember that the world is a better place when we make a better you as well. So we always do our 1 healthy minute. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off first with, hopefully everyone is still enjoying some of their produce from their garden, or maybe your little pot on your deck. I know I planted my lettuce in July, the middle of July, and it's just doing great. So I've got to plant some more. So remember, we have fall crops. You can plant some cabbage now, some Brussels sprouts, and your lettuce as well. And I planted mine, and it takes about a good 6-7 weeks for it to be, picked that you can use it in a salad, because we used it for a salad last night as well. So, make sure you go in and plant it outside on your deck. Put it in a pot. You don't have to have a big garden. Just try to make it convenient for you as well. So what I wanted to share with you is I canned some tomatoes. So here is the one that we canned, and here's how you do it. Now, many of you may not have access to the tomatoes. Like, our tomatoes are doing very poor this year. So I will go to the farmer's market or to the flea market. It'll probably be the Hartfield Flea Market, and I will buy my tomatoes from a local person that has grown them. Okay? Now, the tomatoes I had gotten, there's a gentleman on State Street. He's retired. He has over 500 plants, so I went and bought my tomatoes from him because I just flew in on Monday, and I wanted to can a batch of whole tomatoes before I did the show to go through it and show you how that we do it. So I am going to buy a bushel of tomatoes, and what I will do is you will have to have quart jars, canning jars, and then you can also go to Mark's and you can get the little lids right here. These are the canning lids, and they have different sizes, so you can get those at Mark's, and I think there's like $3 or something like that. So I know last year it was hard to find them. I had to go to Layman's Hardware and find them. But this year there doesn't seem to be a shortage. So what you will do is you will get your tomatoes first. If we're going to can whole tomatoes, that's all you need to do, or if you have them in your garden. Then go get your quart jars and put them in your dishwasher, or wash them and get them clean. And then, so what we do is you rinse your tomatoes, put them in the sink, and then you get a big canner, which we have the canner with a little metal rack in the middle, and you fill it up with at least half full of water, and you get it boiling. And then what you do is you put the tomatoes in the water for maybe 2 to 3 minutes. All you have to do is go in and kind of pick that tomato, and when the skin is starting to crack, you know it's time to bring them out. So you pour them back into the sink and put cold water over them as well. And then what I do is I peel them, and then I core them and put them in the canning jar. And then what you do is you get a teaspoon of good pink salt, good mineral salt. You don't want to use the white Morton, which has been processed. And you put a teaspoon of the salt in this as well. And then you clean a top of the jar off, and then you put the metal lid on, and then you put this in. And then what we do is we put it in our canner, and it has a rack in it that holds 7 jars. And so you put those in there, and I fill it up to about the neck right here of the canning jar. And then I boil it for like 45 minutes. And then you'll take it out. And what's so nice is when you take them out, you'll leave this on and you'll hear it pop. So when it pops, it is sealed. And then see, I will take this off, and then I will put the year on this, and then we know we have it ready to go for wintertime. So maybe you can peaches. You know, I prefer to can those. We talked about that last month. But I like the tomatoes, the whole tomatoes. What I do is in the wintertime, I use a quart of the whole tomatoes and a quart of juice. I have not made the juice yet because it's a much longer process. And I'll just go through it bullet by bullet so you have an idea. You get your tomatoes, and you make sure they're very good and ripe, and you rinse them, and then you cut them in half or fourths, usually fourths, with the skin on, and then you put those in your big canner, a stainless steel one I have for that I cook them in. And then I add organic celery, and I add onions, and I add parsley, and then I add some cloves as well. And what I will do is I will let that simmer and cook for probably 2 to 3 hours. And then I have to run it through a little sieve to get all the juice out, and then, it makes the juice out of all the onions and the tomatoes and the celery and all of that. Then I add some organic cane sugar, non-GMO, and then some salt to taste. And then you just put it in the jar. You warm it up, put it in the jar, and it seals itself. You don't have to cold pack it like we did these. I know it sounds like a long process, and it is, but the convenience is so great in the wintertime because you're going to have chili. You go to the basement or to the pantry and you get your quart of tomatoes and your quart of juice. You brown your hamburger or your turkey and your onions, and there you go. And then you add a jar of kidney beans as well. So, and then vegetables soup is the same way. And we'll talk about that in the wintertime so I can give you the directions for that. So hopefully some of you are canning. If you have any questions, you can feel free to text me or send me a call. Either one will work well. So that is on, let's make use of our produce in our garden. I think it's a little too early to dig your potatoes yet. But, let's enjoy what we have for now and enjoy it to the fullest extent. Now, what we're going to talk about now is we're going to talk about going back to school. So what we have to do is we have to prepare, and we have to protect, and we have to perform. So where do we start? To protect? So I have a little grandson, Dean, who's 7, and he's going in 2nd grade. So what we do is we use the Elderville Immune gummies, and he loves those. So this would be great for your children starting maybe kindergarten, and you can do 1 or 2 of these. And yes, it has elderberry, it has vitamin C, and it has some zinc in it as well. So we need to keep their immune system strong, and all the kids love the little gummies as well. Now, it's not just for the children, it's for the teachers and the administration, the school bus driver, all of them going back to school. So for the adults, what we have is we have the super supplement, which has your vitamin C, it has vitamin D in it, all of the good stuff. And I would take at least 2 of these a day. And then you may want to add some vitamin C as well. That's just an option, I'm just telling you. So what we would do is take your vitamins every day, and your vitamin C as well. Because in today's world, a lot of times we do not get all of our nutritional supplements and vitamins that we need from our diet. So it's nice to supplement just as well. So what we also might want to do is add some trace minerals and maybe some omega-3s, because that helps the heart and the brain as well. So we try to keep it simple, but for sure, for the children, I would definitely do the omega-3s, okay? All right, and so what we need to do is we need to go in and protect as well. So we talked about that a little bit. So preparing, we're doing a multivitamin. And then we've got the elderberry here. And for your adults, we have the elderberry defense, which you might want to take as well. So we have that. And then we have vitamin D. Everybody needs to be taking their vitamin D. So, you know, due to the COVID, and the COVID still is around, so you need to take your vitamin D to keep your body strong, because here we are going into another season change, so we're going to see less and less of the sun. So just remember, if you're taking 4,000 units or more, it's best for you to have your levels checked whenever you have blood work done as well. So I would always do that whenever you have blood work done, and hopefully you have it done at least once a year to see what is going on. And then we have our zinc as well. And now for women, we take zinc 1 every other day, and for the men you can take it every day because that supports the prostate. The reason we're taking the zinc is because it goes in and it supports the thymus right here, and that's going to go in and increase your white blood cells, which is going to help with the immune system as well. And then we always I like to have Silver Shield on hand, because if you're starting to get the sniffles, things of that sort, you can take the Silver Shield. It's a liquid form, and it's going to help with virus and bacteria as well. And then what we do is we have olive leaf as well. And what we do when a client comes in, we will muscle test. Everything has an energy rate, and we decide which one is best for you. So that's why I like to muscle test when you come in the office, and we're saying, okay, do we do the Silver Shield? Do we do the olive leaf? Which one is best for you? So we have to listen to your body, and it'll tell us what you need. Now, don't forget also, for the children, there is maybe some problems with the attention, and we have focused attention, which can help very much with children that have ADD, things of that sort. So rather than putting them on a man-made medication, you might want to consider doing this as well. And what this has, it has lemon balm, which is a very relaxing, and has grapeseed extract, and has ginkgo, which helps with the brain, and a little bit of slippery elm as well. So it's a great combination also. And then we also have, this one I really like is the NutriCalm. So maybe, you know, the child is in middle school or going into high school, and they're getting a little nervous, and this is a lot of bees. The bee complex are very helpful for the central nervous system. And then it also has a little bit of valerian root too, which is a nervine. So it's going to be very, very mild for them. Or even you maybe want to use some lavender oil and roll some lavender on, put it on that, put it on their feet before they go to school in the morning. I'm just giving you suggestions on what they can do. So what we have to do is we have to go in and support our body, have to support our immune system, and support it again with our vitamins. And then you can use some essential oils if you're a little stressed, things of that sort as well. So we want everyone to have a good school year. So there are some basics and give you some guidelines as well. So again, we have our guest on. Brooke is on again, and she is from Worcester and has her own business. And the spiritual, what is the name of your business again?
My business is called Engaging the Spirit.
Okay, Engaging the Spirit. And we had many interesting things last month. So what are we going to share this month?
We are going to talk about Reiki today, and
Okay.
Reiki is R-E-I-K-I. It's energy healing.
Okay. I know I had taken a long time ago a Reiki level 1.
Okay.
But I felt good with it, but I felt as though I wanted to concentrate more on the herbals and supplements. So I think this is great that we can combine the two. Okay?
Yeah.
Good. So how did you get involved in dealing with the Reiki?
How I get involved in everything.
Yeah.
I read a pamphlet and I'm like, this sounds fascinating to me, because it talked about how you can lay your hands on someone or yourself, and it's very calming, healing energy, that we have the ability to heal ourselves. And at the time, I was having a lot of digestive issues, and I was a therapist for 20 years, and you can't like run out of the office when you're having a client, and you can't like go to the bathroom in your pants either. So it was like,
right.
and I learned to do Reiki because I could put my hands over my belly and it would immediately like calm down and relax. So that's how I got into it.
That's very good, very good. So do you provide Reiki classes or do you do treatments on clients?
Both. I
Okay.
am a Reiki master, and there's 3 levels of Reiki. There's Reiki 1, Reiki 2, and Reiki 3 are the Reiki master. And so I teach all of those classes, and I also do sessions.
Okay. So whenever you decide to take the class, how long is it, like a month, 2 months, 3 months?
So for Reiki 1, it's a 7-hour class, and this is just, it depends on the Reiki master how they set it up. And mine is one day, it's from 10 to 5, and you get lunch, and you learn about energy, you learn about the history of Reiki, you know, what is energy, how does it work, and then you learn the hand positions, and you get to practice, because when you're done, you're actually considered a level 1 Reiki practitioner, and you have a certificate.
So what's the difference between level 1, 2, and 3? Okay.
So level 1 is you're working at the physical level, and you're also learning how to do self-healing.
Okay.
So the wonderful thing with Reiki is as you're working on other people, you're also getting the healing process too.
Oh, nice.
Because you're asking to be a conduit of energy to go through you to help others heal. And level 2 is the emotional and mental levels of Reiki, and you're also learning distant healing. So a lot of times my family members will call and say, hey, my arm hurts, my back hurts, can you send me some energy? And so I can sit and focus and send them the energy, and they can feel a difference.
Nice. Very nice.
And then Reiki 3 is actually the spiritual level of Reiki, and you're also learning how to teach Reiki to other people. So it's considered the Reiki master. The level 2 class is a 1 day, and the level 3 is like a 2-day kind of and then it's a little bit internship program.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's fun.
So do you do massage work as well?
No, when you do Reiki, it's hands-on, so it is kind of like a massage, but if somebody does not want to be touched, you don't have to touch them. You can have their hands above the body and still feel the energy.
Okay.
It's very relaxing. It's very calming. You can do Reiki on animals.
Nice.
My dog absolutely loves it and will like roll around and get to where he wants to be so I can get my hands on him. It's funny. You can do it with different things. If your electronics aren't working right, you can do Reiki on your electronics.
Really?
I think the thing for me is I've had a lot of people pass away these past 3 years, and so I was with my grandma when she was near the end, and she was kind of grumbling because her stomach hurt, and she wasn't conscious, and so I just put my hand on her belly, and she put her hand over mine, and just immediately like settled and relaxed.
Nice.
And it was
nice.
just it was a beautiful memory.
Yes, exactly.
Experience.
Do they use it in hospice, do you know?
They use it in hospice. A lot of nurses are trained. It's interesting because I am a therapist, licensed independent social worker, and now I'm getting my doctorate in mind body medicine. And I actually just did a research paper on Reiki for mental health, and it is proven to help anxiety. It's proven to help depression. My kind of point of view was, though, as a therapist, we're not allowed to touch clients.
Okay.
But it would be a great adjunct thing to be working with as somebody's going to therapy, because it does help with mental health issues.
Right, absolutely. And I believe there's so much depression today.
Yes.
And the suicide is increased as well. So this would be a very good skill to share with people that are going through those issues at this time.
Yes, I agree. And it's very interesting. A lot of times when I work on somebody and you put your hands on them, within 5 minutes they just start crying. And everybody apologizes, and it's like, you don't have to apologize, just let it out. But it's such a release for
They're
people.
releasing, absolutely. Yes, yes. So, what does a session usually last? Is it different for everyone?
It depends on the practitioner. I usually gear mine for an hour, and sometimes they go a little bit longer, because when I work, I get into my mindful meditation state and I just go in and I work, and my hands get extremely hot. And I know when they start to cool down, it's time to move on to the next area.
Okay.
And sometimes people want you to focus on a certain area, or there's a certain area that like doesn't cool down for a long time.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, share some of your experiences with the client, of course, without mentioning their names. So, what are some really outstanding success stories?
I've had a lot of people come back and tell me, this doesn't hurt anymore. I've had a lot of emotional releases when something else is coming up. It's interesting because I also do hypnotherapy. I was a therapist, and yoga. And a lot of people are like, I want to go on and do some further work. There's more stuff here that I need to be working through.
Okay.
And so it's almost like there's that awareness for them.
Okay, nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Do you work with many children?
Kids love it. And so babies, I love teaching new parents or pregnant moms and dads to come in and learn how to do Reiki, because it's wonderful to do with the babies.
Yeah, that would make sense. Absolutely, amazing, can calm them right down.
And it was funny when my niece was little. She's going to be 17 here pretty soon. But the one day, she was like 2, and I was working on somebody, and she just came up and she just watched me for like a minute or two. And then she took her hands and put her hands right beside mine on, I think it was my sister I was working on, and put her hands right beside mine. It's like, they know, they get it.
Yeah, that's good, very good, good. Okay, so what else can you tell us about that?
So people ask, like, what does Reiki feel like?
Yeah.
And for me, when I'm the practitioner, my hands get really, really hot. There has been times when my hands have gotten cold, but that's usually because somebody has a deeper issue or illness that's going on. But it's just the heat. And for me, if I'm working on myself, like if I feel like if I took my hand off and looked at my skin would be like bright red, because it's just that, it's like having a heating pad all over your body.
Okay.
So a way that I like to teach Reiki is if you just start clapping your hands. Just clap them for a little bit.
Okay.
And you can do this at home because it's a fun way to experience. This is what energy is.
Okay.
And then just kind of close your eyes and open up your hands. And then just start to bring them together. And when you feel like a little bit of a pushback, you can feel that's the energy flowing in between your hands. And then you can play with it, because you can make it bigger. You can make it smaller. You can make it like shapes.
I'm going to do that a little bit more.
And if the clapping doesn't work, you can rub your hands together too.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I have more heat that way. Yeah.
Yeah, and then just open your hands and bring them back together.
Yeah, I started to feel it now. Yeah.
So it's right there. And one of the things, when I work with kids, a lot of times it's just teaching them, you can do that, and then you can name that ball of energy that you have, like if you need calmness, if you need happiness, joy, whatever it is, and then just take that ball and put it somewhere on your body.
Nice. Very nice to teach the children. Very nice.
It's encouraging.
So whenever you have a client come in for an appointment, and I know every client is different, how many sessions do they normally need? Could it be 1? It could be 5? Everyone's different, correct?
Everybody's different. It could be 1. Some people like to schedule that like a massage and do one once a month, every other week. It just kind of depends on what people are looking for. And I charge $65 for a session. And I have set up down in my studio area, I have a lot of salt lamps, and it's very calm with relaxing music and candles. If people don't like candles, I don't have to have candles. And it's a massage table, and you actually are on it fully clothed. You don't take your clothes off.
Nice.
And so people like that too, because it's not as invasive.
Right, and it's a very calming environment, which I know when I was in Las Vegas, I just didn't like that environment. You know what I'm saying?
That's a lot of energy out there.
Exactly. I was like, why are we having this here? But that's just me. I think the ocean and the sand and the sun would be much more calmer, but that's just me, you know?
Right.
Yeah. So, interesting. Very good. Okay.
So would you like me to tell you a little bit about the history of Reiki?
Yes, yes.
So Mr. Yusui, I've heard he's a doctor. I've heard he's not a doctor, so we just call him Mr. Yusui. And actually developed in Japan in the mid to late 1800s. And he was fed up with his work and his life and decided to go on a vision quest, like, what's my purpose? What am I supposed to do? And they say on the 21st day, he had this enlightenment that I can do this energy. He talked about Jesus. Jesus was able to heal. I want to be able to do that also. And Reiki is not affiliated with any religion and any of that. And so what you do is just ask for your own higher power to help you heal and be a conduit for that energy. And so he developed this. He opened a center, and there was earthquake, I think, in Japan back at that time, and he ended up training like 2,000 practitioners. Wow. And that's how it's developed from there.
Really?
Yes. And so it's really become popular in the United States in the past 10 years.
Well, and especially like in hospice, things of that sort, or like with your grandmother, or anybody that's going through a lot of emotional issues today,
right,
with stress and depression, things of that sort. Very, very helpful.
Yes.
Yes.
And
yes.
Animals, like I said, animals love it.
Yeah.
So even vet techs.
Nice.
Yeah.
So do many veterinarians use this sometimes?
I don't know. I don't know if they do or not. I think it would be another great avenue to
Right, because I'll have to check with Dr. Fisher because she's my holistic vet.
Okay.
And I would like to have her on the show eventually, but I know when I take little Minnie over there, Minnie just calms right down. And I know she's using some Reiki techniques or something in that natural field.
Well, and our animals pick up on our energy. So if we're
Absolutely.
stressed, they're stressed. I'm in school, so my dog likes to sit in my classes with me, and he can tell what's going on by the way he's acting.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Yeah. The dogs can sense a lot, seriously.
They do.
Yeah, good. Okay, so we have the Reiki, and what else do you offer other than a little bit of yoga? We talked about that last month, and I'm seeing here, what else?
I offer a lot of different things. So I was a therapist for 20 years, and now I do coaching because this way I'm able to open up to more of the holistic practices that I do. I'm a hypnotherapist, so I do hypnotherapy sessions.
Nice.
I do the Reiki sessions. I do chakra balancing, which is you align the chakras with stones and do a Reiki session.
Really? Now that's really interesting. I should have had you bring some stones because I love the stones, but I'm not that educated on them. So I think that's so great because I go to Pat, which she does holistic shows, and she uses stones and puts those on you and does healing.
So I'll lay the different stones on that relate to the different chakras. And I actually have a pendulum that I got in Machu Picchu in Peru that was blessed by the shamans down there.
Nice.
And so the pendulum will tell you where people are out of alignment. And actually in Reiki, you learn to take your hand down and you can feel the energy as you go over people. Like if your throat chakra is way too open, so let's say you're somebody that's very vocal and expresses way more than you probably should, your throat chakra is going to be way open. And so the energy will just like fling around with the pendulum.
Nice.
Or if it doesn't move, that means it's closed off. And so then as a Reiki session, we can work in those different areas to focus on those.
And so you charge like $65 for a 1 hour session for that as well.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I'm going to have to make a trip over there.
Okay.
You know, because I love Pat and her crystals as well. And you use different stones for different areas,
You have the
correct?
different stones for different ones, and the colors kind of align. Like, what's the pink one? I can't think off the top of my head.
I'm not much help because I don't know the stones that well.
Yeah, so there's the pink one for the heart, and there's amethyst that we use for the third eye.
Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting.
And it's fascinating, and people can watch as I'm working on them, and they'll see it, and they're like, "Oh my gosh!" I'm like,
Oh yeah, because I use the pendulum myself.
Uh-huh.
When I studied out with Hannah Kroger in Colorado back in the 90s, I mean, the pendulum goes around and around and around.
Yeah.
Or it'll go back and forth if it's a no-no. So I understand what you're talking about in that regard. So. That's awesome.
So let me see. We were on what else I do. Oh, I teach belly dancing classes.
Wow.
I teach yoga classes. and Reiki. I do Reiki workshops. I do spiritual development groups, and I'm also an ordained minister, so I can do weddings, funerals. I do readings, and I also teach a spiritual development group.
So how long ago did you get involved into the spiritual world and the energy work? Because you were a social worker, correct, before?
Correct.
And when did you make that change?
When did I make that change? I got certified in Reiki in 2007.
Okay.
And so from that, it just
Everything
snowballed.
keeps moving on. You're exposed to more
And then-
options and different.
Yes. And so after that, I found yoga because I went into private practice and people were looking for an alternative to medication for anxiety and depression. And that's where I found yoga. And during my yoga teacher training, he encouraged us, we had to do an internship of some sort. And so I found laughter yoga and got certified in laughter yoga.
Oh, really?
And ended up going to New York to do that, which led me down the spiritual path because I went to Lilydale. And so that
Oh, yeah, I've been to Lilydale.
opened
Yeah.
me up to all of that, and did my ministry training, and then ended up working with a spirit artist for 2 years, and then found hypnotherapy. And then it was just like, I think I'm kind of done doing the therapy piece because I can't do all of this other stuff with it. And so during my hypnotherapy internship, I took the leap and started venturing out, and so finally quit doing therapy in 2019 and opened up my business full time.
Good for you. Good,
Yes, and
very
it's been-
good.
It's been a wonderful
And
experience.
you're probably finding a need for this as well. Am I right?
Yes.
What is probably the most challenging issues people are feeling today in the mental field? Is it depression? Is it anxiety?
I think it's depression. I think it's anxiety. A lot of people don't know how to be by themselves. And during COVID, when you're kind of forced to be on your own, people struggled with that because they didn't have the things that were constantly in their lives. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, I have to look at myself. I have to look at what I'm doing. And that can be challenging.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Very good.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's probably very much rewarding when you work with children. Yeah.
It is. I love kids. That's what I
Yeah.
specialize as a therapist, was working with kids because
Okay.
they're wonderful.
Yes, they are. And they're very compatible, and they like to listen, and they like to improve as well.
Yes.
So I
and
think
they like
that's very
to try and beat me at Uno, too.
okay. We don't forget here, we want some chlorophyll in your water, by
Oh,
the way.
thank you.
Don't forget, we need our greens, people. There we go. Some
Thank
right
you.
here.
And I am teaching a Reiki 1 class in September on September 17th, which is a Saturday from 10 to 5. And the cost is $175. And again, when you're done, you're certified as a Reiki 1 practitioner.
Okay.
And when I teach people, I'm also available. So like if you have questions afterwards, I also do Reiki shares at my house for the people that are Reiki practitioners. And so we'll set up a massage table or two, and then I invite my friends over and the people that have gone through my trainings, and one person gets on the table and everybody works on them. So
Nice.
basically you feel like you're floating off the table by the time you're done.
Very nice, very nice.
It's
And
wonderful.
I think that is so wonderful that after they've taken the class, if they have any more questions, they can contact you and you answer them. So that's very, very good to for follow-up.
Yeah.
So whenever they take the Reiki 1, do normally most of them move up the ranks and go to 2 and 3, or they just stay at 1?
Most people, it kind of depends on where they're at and what they're doing, because some are ready to go right into 2. And I tell people, wait 6 months to a year before you go on to level 2, because there's some practitioners that teach Reiki 1 and Reiki 2 together. And my viewpoint is that's like handing the keys of a Maserati to a 16-year-old and say, have fun. Because energy's powerful. Like when you do muscle testing, your body reacts to
Right.
the energy of what you're holding.
Yes.
And so if you're opening yourself up to that energy,
Yeah.
it can knock you on your butt.
Yeah.
So I encourage people to wait like 6 months to a year before they go on to the next one.
Nice.
Get comfortable, practice, get comfortable with what you're doing, that you're ready to move on to that next level.
Right. Well, and it takes time for you to get your confidence in yourself as well. And I'm sure the more they practice on their friends and their family, they improve as well.
Right.
Correct? Nice.
And people will give me feedback too, like, I like this, or I'd rather lay on my stomach than my back, and So there's just those different little pieces and parts that you learn.
So how beneficial is it, say, if you have some pain issues? Like, I have a lot of clients that have pain, but to me, it's due to internal inflammation, and we need to go back and change their diet a bit as well. But how successful are you with the pain management with the Reiki? Is it pretty successful?
I think it's pretty successful because people will say they feel better for a certain amount of time, and then it's like, then they know they have to come back again because it helps for a certain amount. I also encourage people that if you do have pain, come learn how to do it, because then you know how to work on yourself.
That's true.
So then, like, if I have cramps or my ear hurts, I can sit there like this in class or have my hand on my belly and not be disruptive or not be able to attend.
Right. Very good. Very good. So how do most of the people find you? Do they word of mouth? A friend did this, or?
People word of mouth. Also, I have a website, engagingthespirit.com. I'm also on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. My phone number is 234-249-1601. You can send me an email at engagingthespirit@gmail.com. Lots of word of mouth, people.
Right. Well, the one thing that really intrigues me is the yoga. That you said you do that for the retired folks. I bet you that is very successful.
Yes, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, nice.
And I'm actually going to have a couples yoga class in October for anybody that's looking for a fun date night. And if you've never done yoga before and you want to do something to connect with your partner, it's absolutely wonderful, because it's about holding and touching and connecting with each other through touch.
Really? So when is the date on that?
That is Friday, October 14th from 7 to 9, and the cost for the couple is $45.
Nice.
And I
Very
keep
nice.
my classes small, so there are only like 4 or 5 couples for that.
Okay. And do they sit on the floor, or do they use a table?
They sit on the floor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Very interesting. That would be kind of a fun date night.
It is a fun date night.
Yeah.
And I'm also teaching a restorative yoga class on October 22nd from 2 to 5. And that is, there's like 6 poses that you do in 3 hours, and every single pose that you do is 100% supported. So if you're sitting on the floor and leaning back, you have something under your arms, you have something supporting your knees, so your body can just fully and settle in. And so a lot of people say the next day they're really sore because they've actually totally relaxed their body.
Okay.
And a lot of people fall asleep. It's wonderful. And then I
Yes.
go around and do Reiki on everybody during that class.
Nice. Very nice. Nice.
Very relaxing.
Sounds like it. Okay. Very good. All right. Any other things you want to share? What in your
Yes,
notes?
I will mention on the end of September, September 28th, I do a spiritual development group that's a 10-week program, and there's actually 3 10-week groups, and we meet on Wednesday nights. We start at 6:30, we go to 9:30-ish, sometimes it's later. And if anybody that's interested in learning about empathic, intuitive, psychic work, energy, we talk about healing, all of those different things, it's a wonderful opportunity to grow and develop.
And how many are normally in the class?
I had 4 this past year, and I think all of them are taking the class again because it's like my little butterflies. They're like wings, they're sprouting, and they're taking off, and they're like,
Okay.
I have to do this again.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So up to 8.
Okay. So what do most of them have the interest in? Listening to what their body's telling them? What avenue, what road to take?
What avenue, what things, and everybody has different interests. One person is really into healing, another person's really into message work, another person is interested in like, how can I use this within my work to help other people? So everybody just has different interests.
Okay. Interesting.
It's been wonderful.
Yeah. Sounds it. Very good.
And I will be at the Power of Her at the Schisler Center in Worcester on Tuesday, October 4th, and that's a women's development leadership group presentation day.
Okay.
And so I will be there. I'm one of the speakers, and I'm actually going to talk about coming out of the spiritual closet and embracing your authentic self.
Now, did you have any of these gifts before you went? Okay.
Yes. So when I was 8 years old and the Cosby Show came out, I told my parents that the main father on that show was a bad man. And they told me that I was wrong and that, he went around and entertained people. Well, he made my stomach hurt. And so at 8, again, working with kids, if kids are telling you something, they're picking up on something, and listen to them because
They know.
they're
Yeah,
intuitive.
yeah.
And so growing up, like, I would just have these feelings, I would know something, and so I wanted to learn, and that's how I really got into the metaphysical world, because why do I know these things? Why am I picking up on this stuff? And so it's really been kind of a lifelong study.
Journey, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, learning. Yes.
And then how many years later it comes out of, other things. It's like, oh, that's what I was picking up on way back then.
Wow. Very interesting.
Yeah.
But you was questioning, why am I feeling this way, correct?
Right, correct. And so I'm also going to be having a metaphysical fair in October, because as I'm coming out of the spiritual closet, I know there's so many people that are interested in these things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why don't I put a fair together? So on Sunday, October 9th, it's going to be in Creston, in an old barn. It's a wedding venue. We're going to have a metaphysical fair. So there'll be vendors, there'll be readers, there'll be healers. I'm working on getting a coffee truck and a food truck there. So you can come and spend the whole day, and it's free. So it's going to be a great time.
That'd be very nice. Yes, because I put that on my calendar, so
Yes,
I will be there
you will
as
be
well.
there.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I like to go to the vendor show like this, because everybody is on the same page. Where, if you, how do I say this? They're more open-minded, because some people are totally medical, and they don't listen to what their body is telling them. So, and that's okay. Everybody is different, and you have to follow your own path. And I've always been interested in the holistic field, and I'm getting more and more to listening to my body. It tells me what we need to do, And I like it where it's really calm and quiet. The noise, in my studying for my doctorate of naturopath, noise can be so influenced in your life, as far as the different sounds, the sound therapy, the tuning forks, which I'm hoping maybe I can continue on with that, because I really believe in those. And just the sound of music in itself can be very healing.
I have not had a TV in 20 years.
I can understand. Yes, yes.
And so when I go to somebody's house and they just have it on for background noise,
Oh, no.
it's just like,
Just
turn it off, turn it off, turn it off.
Yes, I understand. Yeah.
So my house is completely quiet. I hear when the dishwasher beeps when it goes off, or when the dryer shuts off in the basement. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, now a lot of times in my office, I'll turn on my calming music. It depends if I feel like I want it on. And then when I go away, I always leave the radio on for the dog. So, because she doesn't like to be alone. So imagine that.
I understand that.
So I should learn some more Reiki for her to calm her down a little bit, so she doesn't stress out so much.
Yeah.
So anyway, interesting. Good. And we can't forget too, I forgot to mention it earlier, we're going into a season change, everyone. So you know what that means. That means it's time to cleanse. So we need to do a cleanse 4 times a year. We can't do it one time and say, oh, we're good. No. We're exposed to toxins morning, noon, and night, the air we breathe, the processed foods, the negative energy. Exactly. So I like the Tai cleanse, and of course I will be at her show on October 9th, and then I do the iridology. And I can tell you, if stress is your main issue, maybe you have a lot of toxins, you need to do a cleanse. But in my opinion, we all need to do a cleanse every season change. So you might want to think about that. And this is the cleanse that I prefer. It's the Tai cleanse. The reason I like it, it's more of a systemic cleanse. So it has the formula to go in and clean up your liver. Well, what does the liver do? It cleans things up whenever we're exposed to toxins. Well, so we have to keep it clean. We don't want it to get dirty like a sponge. So we got to clean the liver. And then it has burdock in it, which I love my burdock, because that's going to go in and clean your blood. And then it has an all-cell detox to clean you at the cellular level. Okay, so, and then it has a little bit of LBS too, long, brown, and smooth, because we have 4 elimination systems. We have the colon, we have the kidneys, we have the lungs, and we have the skin. And yes, I've had clients come in, this rash is coming out through their skin, they can't get rid of it. We put you on a cleanse, toxins were coming out through the skin. So, we have to listen to our body. And what you do is there's 30 packs in here, and I prefer you take it in the evening, Depending upon your schedule, we decide when it's best to take you. You'll get results 10 to 12 hours. And what does that 10 to 12 hours mean? It means you're going to have elimination, you're going to poop. Again, I said there's the colon, the urinary, the lungs, and the skin. So we're going to poop, and then also we're going to have you drink a lot of water. I like the chlorophyll water. The chlorophyll is going to go in and help balance your pH. Most of us are way too acidic from standard American diet, and when we're too acidic, that is when disease begins. So the chlorophyll is really a lot of times much easier for people, but I just like to do it anyway to be healthy, to keep you, detox you, to help balance your pH. And also, you can't beat it, what it's doing. It's doing so many, many things. And then in our newsletter, we had a printout on the chlorophyll as well. And it's like whenever I do a show, I always have the chlorophyll, and I give everyone samples of it as well. When I have some left over, I put it on my hibiscus. Would you believe it blooms in 2 days?
I bet.
Yeah.
Well, and I find it very refreshing.
Yes.
And so instead of having like coffee, I don't drink coffee, but tea or something sweet in the middle of the afternoon, this is wonderfully refreshing and wakes me up.
Right. It tastes kind of like a minty flavor as well. And also it's going to help if you are anemic. So it's going to help your hemoglobin, which is your red blood count as well. So I have people that are anemic. We put them on IX, which has different herbals in it, like yellow dock, things of that sort, and burdock. And that's going to help bring up their anemic condition. Because if you put a lot of times the medical field will suggest some iron. Well, if you don't take the proper amount of iron, it can constipate you, so we don't want that. So this, you don't have to worry about that, is what I'm saying. So back to the cleanse, you do one packet, like if you're going to go to work at 7 o'clock in the morning, I would prefer you take it at 6 o'clock at night. Give it that good 12-hour span, okay? And some people might, maybe they're working and they don't get home until like 1 o'clock in the morning, or split shift, whatever. Then you take it then. So you can work it according to your schedule. The box says to take 2 packets a day. I don't do that. I cannot say you're a teacher, you're a nurse, and you take that packet and you have to go to the poop soon, and you don't have time for that. So I like to do the 1 packet, and I feel as though it's very beneficial as well. So I just thought I would mention that because here we are going into a season change, and we muscle test you because we have different ones. We have the Clean Start, which is a packet, and you mix it with water, and then you follow it with environmental detox and some other supplements. But I prefer this one. Most of the clients muscle test strong for this one. So we listen to your body and see what is best for you. And we've got to know where we are, what we're doing, and be responsible and be our CEO of our body. And, it's terrible what our diet is consuming today, in my opinion. I mean, I know it's very hard. I know I just had some yogurt and blueberries this morning before we did the recording, and then I cut up my Pink Lady organic apple, and I just snacked on that on the way up as well. So whatever you do going into the fall, we're going to have apples. Try to do the organic ones. And I'm going to research it and see which one is the best one for applesauce. And I will share that with you next month as well. So,
and the beauty with Reiki is that you can Reiki your food. So
tell us about that.
So, when you talk about putting love into your food, when you're putting energy in, you're putting good energy into that food that's going into your body to help nourish it. So people think I'm a wonderful cook. They're just like, what do you do?
So what do you do? I mean, do you just...
As I work on stuff, like I make cookies a lot.
Okay.
I like the sugar.
Okay.
But, it's like I think about, I want to infuse these with love and good healing and happiness.
And you say that and you just...
As I work on them, and so put my hands over it and do a little bit of, okay.
And that's a good thing, too, even before you eat, to do that.
So it's like a prayer over your food.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. Be very grateful and thankful for what we have.
Right.
Yeah.
And ask that it, nourish your body.
Right. We have another 5 minutes. So is there anything else you want to include that we haven't covered yet?
Anything else that I want to include? I encourage people to really, come out to our metaphysical fair and see what's out there, that to try, meet you if they haven't got to meet you, and do some muscle testing and see all the neat things that are going to be going on.
Well, and the nice thing is, this is your passion. Like, this is my passion.
Right.
Because, don't get me wrong, there's times we all need medical, but they're just putting a Band-Aid. And a lot of times with what you're doing, you're getting a lot to the root emotional
Right.
causes. And a lot of people are hanging on to a lot of baggage today.
Right.
Maybe it be from childhood.
Right, and there's an assessment that I do that, like, even the children have been adopted, there's that belief or that inside that I wasn't wanted from early childhood.
Okay.
And it's a subconscious thing, and whether they're consciously aware of it or not, it's subconscious, and it comes out during the assessment that
Interesting.
it's in there.
That's very good.
Yeah, so we all have work to do.
Right, yeah. And it's always a challenge to keep working and be positive. And especially with our times right now, I mean, in my opinion, I feel as though prevention is much better than just kind of like winging it and eating fast foods. I mean, if you want to do, because I am very particular on where I eat, like Soul Pizza is where I go. They have organic pizza. Bonefish is very healthy because they get their fish flown in from Florida 2 or 3 times a week. So I know that, so I know where to go.
Have you tried the BB Bop restaurant?
No, I haven't.
in
I've
Canton
heard
yet?
about that.
It's-
Have you been to it yet?
I've been there twice. It's absolutely delicious.
Now, is it organic? Tell me.
I know it's gluten-free, and I think there's a lot of different vegetarian options and all the different things that you can get there.
Yeah, but you're not sure if it's organic.
I'm not sure if it's organic.
Okay.
I would imagine some of it is.
Some is, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I saw it at Belton Village, and I'll have to go out and try that. I haven't checked it out yet, so.
I highly recommend the sweet potato noodles.
Okay, okay. All right, okay. So, yeah, because I would be curious to see if the noodles, do they make them?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, the noodles I'd be a little careful about. The sweet potato sounds very good, though. A lot of good nourishment from that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's delicious.
I know I go to, I do a lot of organic juicing. Myself, I do the celery juice, which is very good for your digestion. If you're having any digestive issues, you might want to try that. Of
Okay.
course, it's organic celery because they use a lot of pesticides on the celery as well. And that's what's causing a lot of our diseases today, are all the chemicals that they are using. And like the GMOs, I mean, you've got to make sure that your corn is non-GMO, because at Fresh Thyme, when they do sell it, they say it's non-GMO. And the same way with any of the soy. Become a label reader. That's so important today. So.
Well, and you were talking about pooping, so remember that twists in yoga class is the prune juice,
Yes.
Because you learn how to do twists, pull the belly in and twist, and it'll get everything moving.
That's very good. It's like a parasolic movement, right?
Get you moving.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And to exercise, remember the 3 things to keep our body in balance: nutrition, exercise, and the 2 S's, stress and sleep. I mean, what is your biggest issue today that you're dealing with clients? Stress?
Probably stress. Yeah.
And you think a lot of it's coming from COVID, economy, or a combination of things?
I think it's a combination of all of those.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
And I also always encourage people to look at what is your role in that amount of stress in your life. Because a lot of times people are trying to be Wonder Woman, or they're trying to do too much, or they don't do the self-care. And it's like, so what is your role? What can you do to change?
Right, and you have to set limits, and you need to be in balance.
Right.
So, like for myself, and we've talked about this, I only see clients 2 to 3 days a week because I have to have a balance, because there was one time I was seeing 8 clients a day, and that's way too much. It's too much. So, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And you want anything in closing before we close? We have about 30 seconds.
Reach out if you want and ask questions. I'm always open to people asking questions and inquiring about services.
Right.
Give me a call.
And her phone number's on at the end of the show, and if you have any questions, give her a call or reach out to us, and hopefully we'll see you on October 9th in Crestline. And
Creston.
And I'll remind you about that when we do the recording for the month of October as well. So be well, and good health to all of you. All right? Thank you. Thank you.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.